question for constructed response 2 is the following. Compare and contrast Scout's reaction to Miss Caroline with that of Atticus. What conclusions can be drawn about each character? So you're figuring out, how does Scout react to the way Miss Caroline treated her versus how does Atticus react when he hears the story? Okay, so the good thing about this constructed response is you actually have some great graphic organizers to use. My suggestion would be to complete this graphic organizer. So gather some information before writing your paragraph response. And then once you're ready to put it into paragraph form, you can scroll down and you see that there are some awesome sentence starters to help you write your paragraph. Okay, so let's start off. We're going to fill in this actual graphic organizer. So the first thing you want to do is talk about Scout's reaction to Miss Caroline. So we know that Scout is upset with how Miss Caroline treated her. She realizes that Miss Caroline doesn't understand Maycomb and the people that live there. Okay? Versus how does Atticus respond? He has an understanding of why Miss Caroline reacted the way she did. Remember, it's one of the themes Atticus tries to put himself in another person's shoes and has an understanding. He realizes that Miss Caroline doesn't understand Maycomb and all the people that live there. This is one of those similarities, and I'm going to put this in blue because both Scout and Atticus do get that. You know, Miss Caroline doesn't understand all of the differences between the people that live in Maycomb. Okay, so let's find evidence of the similarity first. And I actually went ahead and highlighted up here this direct quote. We could not expect her to learn all Maycomb's ways in one day, and we could not hold her responsible when she knew no better. So I'm going to copy this, paste this right here. I'm actually going to write, hold on, this is in white. Hold on, similarity. So we know this is a similarity. Same with this one. Okay, so that's similarity. Now we want to find a quote which tells how we know Scout's upset. Okay, so I'm going to highlight this in yellow, and I found a few up here that are highlighted. When Scout says, and she said, you taught me all wrong, so we can't ever read anymore, ever. Please don't send me back. You know, this shows that she's upset. So this would be evidence. And there's a few more up there that I highlighted in yellow. The next thing we want to focus on is the difference with Atticus. So let's find a quote that shows that he is handling the situation differently. First of all, he said, if you can learn a simple trick, Scout, you'll get along a lot better with all kinds of folks. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view. That's a direct quote from Atticus, and it goes along with the fact that he has an understanding of why Miss Caroline reacted the way she did, and he's trying to teach Scout the same. Okay. So you want to draw some conclusions about each character. You want to make some inferences. Some inferences are the following. The fact that Scout has a hard time seeing things from other people's perspectives, and she might be a bit stubborn. Okay, you can tell that just from reading. Atticus is a little bit different. He's understanding. Obviously, he's more mature than Scout, and he does try to see things from another person's perspective. Okay, so these are our differences. The next thing you want to do is just put this in paragraph format. The great thing is you have that graphic organizer that gives you starter sentences. So I actually pulled these direct starter sentences for my paragraph. My first sentence is this exact one. There are some similarities and many differences in the way in which Scout and Atticus respond to Miss Caroline. Now we want to start off talking about the similarity. For example, Scout and Atticus both, and we said, realize that Miss Caroline doesn't understand Maycomb. And the people that live there. Okay, so they both have that understanding. That's a similarity. But now we want to talk about the differences with their reactions. Scout, in the passage, remains upset. Okay, she still has a hard time. And you want to pull an example. Scout says, direct quote, "She said you taught me all wrong, so we can never ever read anymore ever. Please don't send me back, sir." That directly tells us that she's upset. While Atticus has an understanding of where Miss Caroline is coming from. So since he understands, you're going to pull the direct quote from Atticus. And you can pull it directly from your chart or from the passage. So first of all, he said, if you can learn a simple trick, Scout, you'll get along better with all kinds of folks. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view. End quote. We can conclude that Scout, and you're going to go again to where you make some inferences, has a hard time seeing things from another person's perspective. I'll put that directly in there. Again, this is your own writing. This is what you're pulling from your chart. And may be a bit stubborn. I'm actually going to also add and immature. I mean, she's 6 years old, so she has a lot of growing up to do. Well, Atticus, in this passage, is understanding, mature, and tries to see things from another person's perspective, period. Okay, so that's our answer. Then you just need a summary sentence. Okay, a summary is just this wrap up. It's brief. All it has to be is a sentence. Overall, Scout may mature over time and gain some perspective as she grows older. Okay? So I'm just wrapping up, concluding, talking about Scout. You don't really have to mention Atticus in the last part unless you have some kind of wrap up or conclusion. Okay, so the next thing you do once you're done, so here's my answer. And if I were writing this and answering the question, I would just copy and paste my answer right there. Take out any highlighting, no color. I would also not have it all be bold. This would be my answer. So the teacher can figure out this is what you wrote, okay? So short and sweet, to the point. You're going to go ahead, you're going to reread your answer to make sure that there's no errors. You don't need to change capitalization, punctuation. Just make sure you edit it before you submit it. So I would save my answer. Then I would go into the course, click on assignments, and you'll see the constructed response folder. Submit your assignment there.